I'm going to open my presentation with a question for you to ponder. What do you think is your most important asset and the most important asset for the oil and gas and hydrocarbon processing industries? Many of you will think it's people, my employees. Others may be the assets and our business strategy and how we combine those to define differentiated and drive business value. My perspective, and my goal is to help you understand this in how it underpins everything we do in today's world by introducing and talking about operational data, OT data, that data that streams from many, many different sources across the enterprise. I'm going to be talking about the concept of a digital asset as presented by Douglas Laney in the book Infonomics, where he talks about the role and importance of the digital asset and how companies should really focus on strategic management, measurement, and monetization. Not monetization in the sense of you may think of selling your data and your information, but rather you leveraging that data to drive economic value. I'm going to be linking that to 3 digital enablers and how those 3 digital enablers underpin everything, and then obviously showing the core of how the digital asset really is at the core of this. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the importance of data quality and trust, and then again link these back to my hypothesis and perspective is really the digital asset is the foundation for decarbonization, operational excellence, business transformation, and advanced analytics. So let's begin the journey through this particular flow of my presentation. First, I want to talk about and show you the big picture of this digital and foundational role of the digital asset by introducing and positioning the bidirectional integration of layers of digital capabilities. The first and foremost starts with data, time series data and metadata coming into a streaming, smart, operational data infrastructure. Many of those will recognize that is the capabilities of the PI system. The PI system forms a foundational framework for Sigmafine, where streaming analytics, event frames, and notifications are all wrapped around a very high-performant linear data archive. Streaming data, operational data infrastructure then links into the digital asset, where the digital asset provides model-based data validation and data sets with the objective of minimizing data error. The digital asset then links into and supports advanced analytics, and ultimately we call the digital twin. There's other data sources coming into these digital capabilities, but again, my hypothesis and my position is that these digital capabilities underpin key initiatives, again, operational excellence, business transformation, decarbonization, and advanced analytics. And at the core is the digital asset. Let's kind of drill down a little bit around each of these layers. The first layer is a streaming smart operational data infrastructure that it consumes not only time series data and associated metadata from a number of different sources, including the Edge, LIMS, MES, SCADA, DCS, etc., but also metadata, such from the maintenance management system, the engineering system, maybe tabular data, maybe the web, maybe 2, 3, 4D URL links. But there's certain key capabilities that the smart operational data infrastructure provide. First and foremost is pervasive, agnostic integration, abstraction, normalization, and contextualization. Many companies that I work with still are working in a tag-based ecosystem and a portfolio of Excel-based applications where self-serve is provided to the SMEs, but at a price. That price is a company speaking multiple language. Think about think about the global economy today where you have multiple languages and how inefficient that is and how siloed that is. The smart operational data infrastructure brings us together and normalizes, abstracts tags into a common naming lexicon, provides a normalization of units of measure and time zones, and then provides a contextualization necessary to provide understanding and relationship of the data. And this is foundational. The next everything, obviously, in today's world is data and cybersecurity and data ownership and data governance. Next is the area of being able to do gross error detection and a little bit more, rules-based, et cetera. But the point is this is your first line of data quality, and it's best done as close to the data source as possible. But there are some significant capabilities in gross error detection at this level. But as I will talk about in the future, this is just the beginning. Next, there's a lot of knowledge captured in SMEs in their wisdom and the need to have self-serve capabilities. This is why a lot of SMEs live in Excel, because it provides that self-serve configurable capability. The problem is it's tag-based and it's very, very siloed, and you have Excel hell. The question is how you bring this all together. How you bring this all together is through the use of configurable smart asset objects and templates. This ability for the SME in an agile way to develop and codify and configure in no-code capabilities these digital objects that are used like Lego blocks to be able to form and combine together to form a digital replica of a physical system at the base level. Next is the ability to configure streaming analytics, events, and notification. Be able to have this become real time and basically provide this real time capability, provide decision support. Next is the ability then to provide operational data management and to be able to have a consistent, it's almost like a system of record, almost like a charts of accounts, akin to the financial side. It's a one-stop shop for data. For further illustration, I'd like to walk through a story about this smart operational data infrastructure and the role and power of these configurable operational templates. As you well know, every company, every unit has a set of asset classes, whether pumps, turbo expanders, towers, exchangers, etc. This capability allows the subject matter experts, and that's a key word, to self-serve, configure these smart asset class templates, categories, and attributes. The attributes can be operational data tags, it could be metadata, it can be tabular data, engineering data, data from the maintenance management system, etc. Anything necessary to describe the asset class. The next thing is these are all combined in asset and template library that then take a physical, in this case, a gas plant, but the same is used for a refinery or a chemical plant, etc. Take a physical gas plant and convert it into a digital replica. These are then formed to be able to form the hierarchical model with different pivot views that provide this foundation for visualization and real-time decision support across the enterprise. And so this is this capability that's unique and powerful within the operational data infrastructure. It forms the foundation for these integrated digital capabilities. So let's kind of now expand to the role of the digital asset, providing this validated operational data sets. Coming from the streaming smart operational data infrastructure, you have error in the measurements. This is something very unique, I think, for operational data and information. So many companies are looking at applying traditional IT technology that don't have the understanding, the deep understanding. Okay, so now that we've gone through the smart streaming operational data infrastructure, I would like to now transition and present the digital asset and its foundational role by providing validated operational data sets. As many of you know, operational data is messy. A lot of volume, velocity, and variability, and inherent error that, if not handled properly, can propagate and expand as these data sets are consumed and combined. The role of the digital asset is to be able to take knowledge and wisdom from the subject matter experts, to be able to provide tracking and genealogy of the data sets, apply business rules, provide and apply model network-based structure to be able to do data reconciliation, whether it be you have multiple different measurements, you have component, volume, energy, mass, that all can be used to start looking and identifying data error and then acting to minimize that, ultimately providing data validation. These operational data sets are then become the system of record. And again, the main thing is providing minimization of data error. Because again, as data error is propagated, without this capability, it basically expands and jeopardizes the strategic implementation of many of these key initiatives. So building on to the third digital capability is the digital twin. And believe me, digital twin is a hype of today, and everyone has a different definition of the digital twin. Okay, hopefully this presentation, in my perspective, may clarify that, because a digital asset in the holistic sense is really a combination of a number of smaller digital twins that are system of records for particular parts of the organization and the information flow data chain. Again, coming out of the digital asset, you have operational system of records and operational data sets that have been validated. The digital twin is the system of systems. It provides at the core operational chart of accounts, again, coming from the smart data infrastructure and the digital asset. This is similar to the financial chart of accounts or the system of record, where all operational data, it is where all operational data is brought together, is validated in a single source of the truth. There's also the financial chart of accounts, engineering digital twin. You have the assets, asset management systems. You have the compliance and carbon system of records, HR, and advanced analytics. All these system of records need to be synchronized and orchestrated, meaning as one asset is changed in one system of record, how does it orchestrate and be propagated throughout the rest of the system of records? This is what the digital twin is all about. Okay, with that understanding of these three integrated digital capabilities, I'd like to go back to operational data quality, because it is foundational and really the power of this digital asset to handle and address the variability, volume, and velocity, and the value of operational data. As we talked about, and as many of you may know, operational data coming from instruments has inherent variability and data quality issues. You've got drift, there's a whole propagation, there's a whole number of different types of data quality issues in real world operational data. With this data and these errors propagated, and they jeopardize these strategic initiatives by providing poor quality data that undermines the decision making and actually the value and purpose of these strategic initiatives. The digital asset is really there to focus on reducing data error and providing and enabling these strategic initiatives with quality, validated data that enables better decision making. So let's kind of apply this to those four different areas. And I want to focus largely on carbon data management, large because that is, sustainability and ESG is the rave and focus of today. And so I'm going to focus on that first. Companies that I work with I've kind of categorized these into 8 dimensions of decarbonization and carbon data management. First, companies are looking at optimizing their value chain planning and scheduling, not just around financial or currency or dollars, monetary, but also carbon. So you have this duality of optimizations occurring in what your crude selection and the carbon intensity index, and being able to understand and optimize not only the financial dimension, but also the carbon footprint position. Next, we're foreseeing focus on a double down on accelerating traditional energy efficiency efforts, energy management, minimizing the O2, the excess air in furnaces, etc. Next, we're seeing a lot of focus on and thinking about electrification, taking steam drivers and other non-electrical energy source or motive forces and converting those to electrical, but also needing to upgrade the electrical infrastructure. And many companies fail to fully understand the need to upgrade their infrastructure to handle the electrification and the renewable aspects. Next, there's a focus on hydrogen production, blue and green and gray, and also the integration of the O2 that's produced by specifically the green side hydrogen production. How do you take that O2 and monetize it or run it back in to drive and support maybe your traditional energy efficiency efforts? Carbon reduction and CCUS is another big focus. Companies are looking at electrical sourcing options and being able to do JVs or to install renewable energy on or in their refineries or chemical plants or around your pump stations. Contracting with stakeholders to provide this green energy into their electrical distribution system and sourcing systems. Companies are looking at supply chain digital carbon and accounting integration. How do you extend energy management, environmental management, and carbon data management to where you have this ability to have this transparency and traceability and governance that supports the overall carbon trading and all the reporting and management thereof. Lastly, companies are obviously looking at changing their business models and understanding how can they capture and increase value from decarbonization. At the heart of this is the digital asset. It is the component that drives validated data and carbon data that supports each of these 8 dimensions. Relating this back to business transformation, I would like to say that I think a lot of confusion is in the industry because I hear digital transformation a lot. My opinion is there's really 2 components. There's digitally enabled business transformation, and there's digitally enabled operational excellence, which I'll talk about briefly after this. Business transformation, in my mind, is leveraging digital technologies to fundamentally change the business model, the strategy, the industries people are going into, the services that they're offering, etc. The digital asset underpins this by helping drive and bring quality data and decision support to existing business strategies, to be able to open up doors and understanding and being able to venture into new business strategies and new businesses, to be able to start sharing data in this ecosystem, this digital value chain, as I call it, where data, carbon data, et cetera, is going to be shared amongst stakeholders. And then lastly is using digital technology to accelerate each of these dimensions. Okay, so I've linked the digital asset and these digital capabilities to decarbonization, business transformation. I'd like now to talk about in the context of operational excellence. As I mentioned to you earlier, I feel that digital transformation really encompasses 2 dimensions. One around digitally enabled business transformation. The second dimension is around digitally enabled operational excellence. Operational excellence, we all know, is about people and culture and empowerment, self-serve, rewarding, measuring people and culture as performance. It's also about digitally enabled work processes and business process automation. It's also about technology and technology simplification and leveraging new digital technologies in this acceleration and enablement. But it's also about continuous improvement. And so the point is that the combination, to me, digital transformation is really digitally enabled business transformation and digitally enabled operational excellence. And at the core is the digital asset and these three digital capabilities. Okay, now that I've kind of talked about the digital asset and its relationship, the decarbonization, business transformation, and operational excellence, I'd like to now talk about the digital asset in the area of advanced analytics and the importance of having an analytics and what I call a pragmatic OT-focused hybrid cloud strategy. As we all know, AI is the hype of the day. Everyone's focused on advanced analytics, AI, machine learning, et cetera, et cetera. My belief is companies need to have an analytical framework. And I'm going to use the Tesla as an analogy as I walk through this. As we all know, on the Tesla, it has very powerful streaming analytics, and underneath there's gross error detection. There's redundancy in sensors, but at the core, it is an on-prem, aka on the car, single tenant, so it's highly secure, but it does streaming analytics. However, and these streaming analytics can be described as descriptive, diagnostic, and simple predictive in the context of the operational data infrastructure. The Tesla also has great advanced analytics and machine learning with validated data sets, et cetera, in the cloud. Going back to Tesla, they're doing a lot of analytics, car analytics, equipment analytics, et cetera, that augment and support and reinforce what is being done on-prem. These analytics can be broken into advanced analytics, predictive, and AI in the context of operation, in the operational or industrial operational area. The point is, you need both of these. And these analytics are integrated. There's bidirectionality. So there's streaming analytics and the data sets going up into the cloud. But it's also important to have operationalization of the advanced analytics back into the lower levels where you can do plan versus actual and understand and do forecasts and see and provide this augmented reality or augmented intelligence at the lower levels. So this bidirectionality is very key. So where do these operational, these three digital capabilities lie? Obviously, the smart operational data infrastructure sits in the on-prem streaming analytical side. On the right hand, you have the digital twin and the system of records and the advanced analytics that go into that. But at the core is the digital asset. It's the one that links these two digital capabilities together to provide this holistic, fundamental capability that is critical, in my opinion, to underpin the business strategies of today, these key initiatives. So now I'd like to bring this all back together and offer some key takeaways and questions for you to ponder. I've talked about the layers of digital capabilities, the three, which are the streaming, smart operational data infrastructure, the digital asset, and the digital twin, and position where advanced analytics fit in those three digital capabilities. I've talked about how these digital capabilities underpin the four key initiatives of operational excellence, business transformation, decarbonization, and advanced analytics in a general sense. And I've talked about the importance of the digital asset. So the question is, how is your company measuring, managing, and monetizing what I believe is your most important asset, your operational data? Next, how about data quality and trust? Is your company actively aware and acting of the challenges of operational data quality, and have in place a program to minimize operational data error. Next. Is there a strategy or an understanding or awareness of the digital asset, which, as I have communicated to you, I feel is a nexus of each of these four business imperatives? Does your company have a digital asset strategy? Does your company have an analytics framework? Have you defined layers of analytics and looked and rationalized fit-for-purpose technology for each of those layers? Or are you focused strictly on advanced analytics and not having the foundation to have effective advanced analytics? Do you have a hybrid cloud strategy that respects operational data nuances and is pragmatic and work with technology from companies who have operational technology in their DNA? Or are you working with technology that really stems from an IT organization that's looking at clicks and other things in a generic sense and trying to apply that to operational data? Lastly, I like to reinforce that the 3Ms and the SS strategies, which is one, make me more money sustainably. And secondly, where you start simply, but simply start on your journey towards a digital asset. I'd like to say thank you. I hope you found the presentation to be informative, inspirational, and make you ponder a little bit about these concepts. Thank you very much.